Alcoholics Anonymous has a long history of cooperating but not affiliating with outside entities. What follows is an example of just that.
Several days after disaster struck in New York City, a handful of uniformed AA members that were working in the disaster zone asked the Red Cross to help set up AA meetings on site. The Red Cross then made a request for help to the General Service Office of Alcoholics Anonymous. Following the request, calls were made on September 26, 2001, by staff members of the General Service Office to chairpersons of New York City's AA Intergroups Institutions Committee and of AA's Area 49, CNE's cooperation with the Professional Community Committee. These two chairpeople and many others in AA service began the process of assembling the AA members necessary to carry out this 12-step work. By Friday, September 28th, about 15 to 20 members had been pulled together to bring to the Red Cross headquarters in downtown Brooklyn. At this point, the extent of the AA work, or even the location for it, was unknown. Many details had to be worked out among the overlapping authorities who were responsible for the security, as clearance and ID cards would be required of all. On that first day, our members were required to wait many hours as the details were worked out. Unfortunately, most of them were sent home, but around 6 p.m. that evening, a small group of 3 were credentialed and transported through the security lines to Respite Center number 1.
The location was 101 Murray Street, on the corner of West Street, just north of the World Trade Center, in a building that was used by St. John's University prior to the disaster. The Respite Center was set up by the Red Cross to serve the thousands of firefighters, police, steelworkers, medical personnel, and other volunteers who worked in the disaster zone. There they waited several more hours until finally around 8 p.m. they were assigned to room 221, which was to become the main center for AA activity for the next 2.5 months. Although no formal AA meetings were held that night, the room was set up and identified for the Friends of Bill W., anonymity being a major concern given the mix of uniformed and non-uniformed workers streaming through the building. A few first visitors arrived, some unbelievingly, simply to bask in the thought of an AA presence there. What followed then was more than a day of uncertainty, until on Sunday, September 30th, another group was brought to the Red Cross headquarters, and this time 9 of them were credentialed, and a real AA presence was established in room 221 by 4 p.m. that afternoon. One of the issues that had to be resolved was under what umbrella we were to be grouped, religion or mental health. The latter won out, and for the next 2 months, all the AA work was conducted through the Mental Health Division of the Red Cross. At 6 p.m. that Sunday night, the first official meeting was held in room 221. The speaker was a policeman from the Bronx who said he had opened the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous that morning and just happened to read in Bill's story the description of his going off to World War I. Appropriately, he used that familiar AA text as the focus of his talk, and so began AA at Ground Zero.
Soon a corps of upwards of 70 credentialed 12-steppers was put together. A series of 3 6-hour shifts was established in which several 12-steppers would be present in a room at all times to talk with AA members in need of help, to hold impromptu meetings if enough people were on hand, or sometimes simply to give someone a hug. A more or less regular meeting was held at lunchtime on most days, and literature was brought in for AA members' use. In mid-October, a 4th shift from midnight to 6 a.m. was established. Also in October, an AA presence was established in Respite Center number 3, which was south of the World Trade Center in a damaged but still functional Marriott hotel. There, too, a series of shifts was set up to assure that 12-steppers were present during the hours the room was open, with literature on hand as well. As mentioned, Respite Center number 1 was a St. John's University building, and room 221 was a one-time classroom with a large blackboard that covered one wall. There the 3 12-steppers who entered the room that first Friday night wrote their names and home groups, and in the weeks that followed pretty much all the AAs who entered that room followed suit. By the time the AA presence ended and room 221 was closed, the blackboard was full with names and home groups. Likewise, a logbook was kept for AAs to sign at both respite centers. Although the blackboard couldn't be preserved and is probably in use today as just another classroom tool, the photos you have been viewing have been preserved and the logbooks have been turned over to the Alcoholics Anonymous General Service Office archives. Other archival materials, such as the 2 large Ground Zero group plaques forged by the steelworkers from metal salvage from the World Trade Center, were turned over to New York City Intergroup and to the General Service Office archives for safekeeping.
AA at Ground Zero lasted from September 28th until December 7th, 2001, thanks to the efforts of members from Southeastern New York General Service, New York City Intergroup, and our friends in the professional community.